Thank you for joining us. Brian Smoller now with Director of Athletics John Currie, talking North End Zone Video Project and answering some of the questions that you may have as a Wildcat fan that we also have. And let's start first with the first question that comes to mind, which is why now? I mean, after the West Stadium Center, this beautiful building that we are in currently, and the gigantic structure that now sits on the west side of the football stadium, why the need to do this quickly?
Well, Brian, 4 years ago in 2010, we launched the Bill Snyder Family Stadium Master Plan, and it's a 6-phase plan, and we've completed phases 1 and 2. Because of the incredible momentum generated by our programs and by our contributors, and certainly the on-field success led by Coach Snyder, we've been able to rearrange some of the elements of that 6-phase master plan. And the other thing that we see is that it's a competitive world out there. You think about everything that has changed in college athletics over the last 5 years, conference realignment, new media contracts, all those types of things remind us that if we're going to remain in the upper echelon of intercollegiate athletics, we've got to continuously invest and continuously move ahead. So we're going to get after it and transform the north end zone of Bill Snyder Family Stadium, just like the west side of this stadium has been transformed with this facility.
John, one of the things that you have as far as the budget cards you hand out to people, one of the tenets of beliefs and the core beliefs here at Kansas State Athletics is, of course, fiscal responsibility. I'd be remiss if I didn't point out the fact we just spent $125 million on all these facility improvements and specifically, a ton of money on this building alone. So how do you weigh that fiscal responsibility with, okay, we're going to start a new project?
Fiscal responsibility at K-State means that unlike most of our competition, we're not spending any tuition dollars, we're not spending any state tax dollars, we're not spending any academic subsidy money or anything like that on these athletic facilities, and yet we're providing tremendous benefit back to the community and back to the university through the inclusion of intercollegiate athletics in Manhattan, Kansas, and at K-State. You look around the country right now, that's pretty rare. And there's places that aren't too far away from us where there are massive institutional subsidies or massive student fee allocations or tax dollars going into intercollegiate athletics facilities. So we're very grateful to all of our fans and supporters who help make that possible and help us do it the right way at K-State. We've made really smart decisions, we believe, in terms of what to focus on. And we're focused on the fan experience and student athlete experience with this facility. We're not looking to have 75,000 seats or 100,000 seats because that's been shown to be fiscally reckless in some cases. You kind of outgrow your own self if you're not careful. So we're going to try to put our money where we believe it has the most positive effect, both for our student athlete experience, the performance of our student athletes and our teams, the ability of our coaches to recruit successfully, and our fans to have a great experience, a world-class experience themselves when they come to Manhattan.
And you talk about a front porch. That was what this was supposed to be, the front porch to the entrance of the university. It seems like in some respects this project will be the front porch for K-State football now.
Well, not just K-State football, but K-State athletics. The West Stadium Center is the west entry to our campus, our northwest entry to our campus, and the main entrance to Bill Snyder Family Stadium. But the north end zone and the new Vanier complex becomes the new north entrance to our intercollegiate athletics program and our football program. And certainly the football program is obviously one of the anchor programs of our university and our intercollegiate athletics program. We're talking about replacing a facility which was originally built in 1968, which has been added on to about 8 times and has really served us well. But we're going to double the size, double the square footage. We're going to dramatically increase our academic services capacity for all of our student athletes. We're going to dramatically increase our weight training and strength and conditioning capacity in the new facility. We're going to dramatically increase our meeting space and the efficiency of our coaches' offices, the appearance of all of that stuff, our sports medicine, hydrotherapy, rehab, all of those things will be really, really improved in this new facility. It serves all of our student athletes because all of our equipment operations are based out of the north end zone, and so we'll have new space for that. We've won the 3rd most Big 12 championships of anybody in the conference and the 3rd most Big 12 games of anybody in the conference. We've competed at the highest level. We won a bunch of games here at K-State, a lot of bowl games over the last 21 years, thanks to Coach Snyder's tremendous leadership. And we need to build on that platform and make sure our foundation for the future is secure.
You mentioned the renovations. So with all those different equipment and pieces added over the last few years, how much of that stuff stays? How much of that goes? I mean, do you replace everything, I guess would be one question from a fan.
As we went through this planning process, Brian, we studied whether we should add on to the facility. We studied the north end zone video board, which sorely needs to be replaced. And we looked at building a new weight room expansion on part of the Vanier complex. And what we really came back to was that after 8 renovations, it's time to kind of wipe the slate clean, and we can be a lot more efficient with the dollars we have allocated, and more importantly, build a facility that truly serves K-State athletics and K-State football for the next 50 to 75 years by really wiping the slate clean. And after this coming football season, when the buses leave, to take our team to the airport, to head down to Baylor for our 12th game of the year. We'll go ahead and move everything out of that facility and get ready for a demolition. And then our crews from Mortensen G.E. Johnson will work right away, just like they did with building this building, to have that thing reconstructed and back up and operational by August of 2015.
What happens to the staff that are inside the football stadium, the academic services staff, strength and conditioning, in addition to the football coaches? Where do they locate during that time?
Well, we're going to have a real logistical challenge for 9 to 12 months in that relocation phase, but this has been done sequentially and with the progression for some reasons. First of all, the West Stadium Center is completed, so we'll actually utilize the suite levels. We have 2 suite levels here in the West Stadium Center, and we'll utilize both of those levels for temporary offices. One level will be our football staff offices and meeting rooms, and the other will be our academic learning center meeting rooms. And then we'll use this club area for larger study hall type activity and larger team meetings. We'll utilize our indoor football field, our indoor practice field. We'll utilize part of that to do weight room space, a temporary weight room accommodations. And then we're going to be able to utilize Bramlage quite a bit. You know, when we created the basketball training facility and opened that facility almost 2 years ago, our day-to-day utilization of Bramlage by basketball, both men's and women's, is just not what it used to be. So after basketball season next year, we'll be able to utilize the locker rooms in Bramlage, both the men's and women's, plus there's 2 visiting locker rooms in Bramlage. We'll be able to use all that stuff to accommodate our football team during spring practice and also during their off-season workouts. And so it'll be a logistical challenge, right? There'll be some moments of frustration. Now, just like when any of our fans have moved offices or moved houses, there's some short-term inconvenience for some long-term benefit, and the long-term is going to be awesome with the new Vanier complex in the north end zone.
There were obviously some great fan amenities with the West Stadium Center project that benefited the day-to-day visitor to this stadium. What will benefit them in the north end zone?
Phase 3 of the Bill Snyder Family Stadium Master Plan in the north end zone and the Vanier complex really revolves around 2 things. One is basic fan experience, grassroots fan experience, and the other is obviously our student athlete experience. So we're not building suites and luxury seating in the north end zone. We're going to continue to have the same family plan seating that we currently have in our north end zone, but it'll be enhanced. It'll be enhanced with a new concourse that eventually will connect the east side to the west side of Bill Snyder Family Stadium. And so our people coming to the north end zone will be able to enter through gate A on the west side or through the east side gates. So our fans in the north end zone will be able to access right away, beginning in 2015, all the concourse amenities of the West Stadium Center, which will be really, really nice. It'll also fill in our bowl a little bit and eliminate some of those empty spaces. We'll be improving the ADA seating and the sight lines for all the people in the north end zone with this new structure. But it was very important to us the whole time to continue the history and pattern and tradition that's developed of great interconnectivity between our fans and our student athletes and our coaching staff. And that's something they've all talked about. And that's become something we're known for around college athletics. When you look into our end zones at our stadium, you really don't see big walls, you see fans. And that's going to continue in this new facility. We're going to have a method that when our student athletes come out of the tunnel to enter the field, that we have interconnectivity with our fans and the ability for kids to slap 5 with our players and our coaching staff and all that kind of thing. That's very, very important to us, and we don't want to lose that aspect of who we are.
There are 2 specific areas where fans continually to bring up. One is the limestone wall, the field level, and the other one is video boards. I know you mentioned it in the past. What is the idea moving forward for those 2 projects?
Our staff's got a great comprehensive video plan that they've been working on for both Bramlage and Bill Snyder Family Stadium. When I say video, I mean sound improvements as well. We've talked about replacing the north end zone Minitron, if you will, and in fact that was one of the catalysts for moving ahead with this project. We can't replace that board without replacing the whole building, essentially, unless we just want to throw more money at a building that eventually has to be replaced. So that'll evolve. What we do on the north end zone will evolve. Fans will start to see some changes, we believe, this spring on the southeast and southwest corner video boards. We're going to continue to study the south end zone board, but today our project priorities in terms of where our dollars are going for the next 12 months are going to be into constructing that building that is so important for our student athlete experience and our football program. So we appreciate the patience of our folks, but look forward to some significant video improvements in the future. We talked about sound too, right? And as we build that north end zone structure, it's going to change the acoustic dynamic of our bowl. And so we really need to wait until that north end zone structure is in place to do the full boat renovation of that sound program for the stadium. And again, I appreciate fans' patience with that. In my lifetime, we will have a field level wall at Bill Snyder Family Stadium, and we will replace the kind of the iron fence down there with some really nice limestone facing on the front of the seating bowl. However, there's some significant structural elements that go along with that. That seating bowl was originally built in 1968, and to go in there and just hammer away and add some stuff onto it is a little bit more complex than many people realize. What we'd like to do eventually is replace the asphalt that is on either side of the field with some nice pavers and all that kind of stuff. But when you talk about that element, right, and I know it's important to me, it's important to a lot of our fans, we're talking about a multi-million-dollar project. So we're going to prioritize from a fiscal responsibility standpoint. That's kind of an icing on the cake type deal. Right now we need to make the cake, and the cake is that north end zone building, locker room, training facilities, weight training, strength training, sports medicine, academic learning center, Coach Snyder's new office, all that kind of stuff has to go first, and then we'll get to those smaller incremental projects down the road.
How has the response been when you've gone out and talked to people prior to this point? I mean, before it's gone really public, what's been the response so far?
Our facility development plan has evolved over a number of years. We've had incredible fundraising response from our fans who want to make investments in our program and in the K-State program. When we started in earnest refining our goals and refining our timeline a little bit in the fall of 2013, last fall, the initial response we had was just tremendous. And we had our first seven-figure gifts in November and December of 2013. Yeah. And then, of course, in February, we announced the largest gift in the history of Kansas State University. Now, one of the special things about that gift is it reflects most of the gifts to our athletic facility infrastructure over the last several years, in that a larger percentage of the overall gift is going to non-athletics needs. And in this case, the Vanier family has prioritized needs in Salina, at K-State Salina, and also in our business school, and then across our campus here in Manhattan, with $40 million to the academic needs of both the Manhattan and Salina campuses, to go along with the $20 million that will help anchor the fundraising process for the North End Zone project. The Vanier family has been part of K-State athletics forever, right? And their support throughout the evolution of our football program has helped keep it going in some dark times, and now put us in a position where, together with lots of other helpful people, we're able to take another monumental step forward in the history of our program. When you look at our project, we're looking at the first part of the North End Zone expansion running in the $65 million range. We need to raise $50 million to make it right. And we have made great progress towards that $50 million goal. But it's going to take everybody helping. Sometimes you see a big gift like that and you say, well, how can my money help when you have a big gift like that? But the reality of it is that to finish it in a first-class manner, like we finished the basketball training facility or the West Stadium Center, every dollar really does matter. And when you're planning the final stages of the facility, the broad participation makes a huge difference. And we know that people want to be part of this monumental step in K-State athletics history and in the history of Manhattan.
John, thank you for your time. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Brian, and thanks to all the great K-State fans who are making this thing happen. Everyone should take pride in these projects. Whether you come for one game or all of them, you're making a difference for K-State.